1. I know the front desk typically has the worst of it when it comes to dealing with angry guests and idiots that walk through the front door. I had the worst of it when it came to dealing with the corporate office. I worked with a management and ownership company which purchased my hotel almost 2 years ago, and offered me the same salary to stay with them and help them go through the transition. What they didn't mention is that they weren't going to offer the same benefits including 401k, bonuses, raises. When I realized the issue, they kept telling me that they were working on it and it would be rolled out soon. My 1-year anniversary rolled around and I still didn't get any bonus plan or a raise incoming, although lower-level managers and hourly employees that had been there received a cost of living adjustment of a couple percentage points. Neither I nor my GM received any additional compensation, and all we were told is, "We're working on it." This is around the time I stopped giving a damn about the hotel, which was fortunate, as renovations were happening, and the hotel was going into shutdown for a month to wrap things up. I was being told that once the hotel reopened, we would have our bonus plans and put raises into effect. That was March, and we were supposed to reopen it in May. Further, I was being pushed by the corporate office to be ready to sell out on day 1, and to start pushing group business for June 1st and beyond. I did that. I was actually able to sell out the hotel for the bulk of summer through BT agreements, and through groups that I had spent years building relationships with. Well, May rolls around and the contractor tells me that it'll actually be late July before the work is completed, and that they won't be able to bring rooms back online until then. Suddenly, I'm calling all my groups and contacts and telling them why I can't make good on my promises. Corporate doesn't care. They want me to transfer the business to another hotel they own over an hour drive away. You can imagine I'm pissing people off every time I pick up the phone. And these aren't the snowflakes most people complain about. These are people I know and see around the community. They understand it's not my fault, but that doesn't make life any easier on them. So instead of walking them 30 miles away, I give the business to other hotels in my cluster so as not to inconvenience the client. This happens every month, and every month I'm told to be ready to sell out day 1. And after this happening twice, I start to question it. Corporate office won't listen to my complaints and gets mad that I'm questioning the judgment of contractor in terms of timelines. And they don't seem to understand that I'm tarnishing the hotel's reputation and my own reputation by constantly signing contracts that we can't deliver on. So I've had enough. I give the higher-ups lip service, but I don't book any group for the rest of the summer months, and I start focusing on the fall, September, October, November. I do this because I'm tired of being a liar. When inquiries come in for after the supposed opening date and I'm being monitored, I bid so high that no one in their right mind would accept it. During this time, the regional demanded I make 40 in-person sales calls per week. The average for most companies is closer to 5. And plan out an opening party and organize a sales blitz to companies that I was supposed to be seeing once a week anyways. It was madness. Plus, with the moving date and constantly having to cancel the parties, the chamber and the caterers stopped taking my calls. It all came to a head when I was ambushed on a Monday morning at 8 a.m. by the regional, who wanted me to show him what I had ready for a sales presentation the next week. This is something that had never been told to me. Rather, they mentioned that the other sales managers would be here for a meeting, and that was all. I told him that I didn't have anything, but I could throw something together, and he stormed out and said, "You better be a whole lot more than ready than you are now." I was pissed. I emailed him and copied my bosses on it, basically just asking which key points he'd like me to touch on. He never responded. So just to be a dick, I started calling him every night around 6 or 7 saying, "I'm trying to work on the presentation, but I don't know what you want me to talk about. Would you mind responding to my email?" These were all voicemails, of course, because he never answered. Then he comes in on a Friday, ambushing me again as I'm about to take lunch, and asks to see the presentation. And I explained to him that I have nothing, because he never responded to what he wanted out of it, what time it would be, or how long he'd like it. He finally said the magic words, "You should probably just resign if this is so hard for you." He was trying to be a dick, but what he did was allow me to quit and file for unemployment. Forced resignation is the same as being fired without cause in my state. I was free. I waited until Sunday and I sent my resignation emails saying that I could no longer afford to work for the company, a stab at the lack of raises and bonuses, and that I've left my work laptop in the office, to which they have no passwords for my old files. Earlier this week, my unemployment was approved without contest because no one at the company bothered to respond to their letters, and when the letter went out that they had no right to appeal the decision, I am immediately bombarded with texts about how I'm a terrible person. These people made me a liar. They gave me a massive pay cut, lack of bonuses, would ambush me for detailed information before my computer was even booted up, and expected long presentations where they would give me no direction. I may be a terrible person, but at least I'm free from that living hell. Also, as of writing this, their current sell date is January 1st. 2. I work mostly second shift, and very occasionally NA. On Halloween, we are allowed to dress up in a costume, provided it's appropriate. No big deal. Keep this fact in mind for later. I go on shift at 3, and I'm dressed pretty conservatively as a cat, complete with a pink nose drawn on my actual nose with lip liner. I'm bopping along to a pretty slow day, but all our rooms of a certain type are sold out due to a large company and long-term guests mostly. A guy comes in and he is with a relatively small church in the area. They have a whole thing arranged, and I let our sales manager talk to him, because they haven't been in the entire year I've been there. While our sales manager chats up the pastor, the guest from hell comes to the desk. HB will be guest, and me is, well, me.
I'm checking in, I'm a carbon member.
What's the last name on the reservation, sir?
Hell Beast. What was so hard about that? How many carbon members does this tiny hotel get?
For reference, we are currently on a 80% night for 108 rooms. We have 30 carbon members in-house. I'm sorry, sir. We have a few carbon members still in our arrivals tonight. I see your reservation here. Unfortunately, we weren't able to put you on the first floor as requested. I'm sorry for the inconvenience.
That's unacceptable. Someone called me to confirm I was coming in, and they should have reserved my first floor room. How dare you call me and not be able to accommodate my request?
At this point, the pastor is outright staring at the situation unfolding, and the sales manager has started walking towards the back to get our temp GM. As I said, I'm sorry, sir, but the first floor has been taken up all week due to a group. They're due to check out tomorrow, so after housekeeping gets to the rooms, I can move you if you wish.
I'm a disabled veteran. I shouldn't have to stay on another floor. I'm not normally an asshole, but y'all really pissed me off by calling and not having my room.
Because it's a question of disability, I can put you close to the elevator so you don't have to walk very far, if that is acceptable. This is one of our last 2 rooms. I'm sorry, sir.
Don't fucking say sorry if you can't fix it. Your sorry does nothing for me.
That's unfortunate. Are you still wanting your reservation, sir, or should I see if our sister property, located at 20 miles away, has a first floor room available for the night?
I still want my reservation, but you need to compensate her. Give me extra points.
Unfortunately, sir, I can't do that. But I can speak to my GM when he is out of his meeting and let him know your complaints. He picks up the keys I set in front of him.
You stupid bitch. Just give me the form so I can go to my room.
I hand him the room to sign after getting his ID and credit card. He sees it's our top floor near the elevator and flips.
You can't give me a lower fucking floor? Are you stupid? Or just bad at your job?
I'm sorry, sir. That's the only floor where we had your room type close to the elevator, and we try and accommodate disability as much as possible. He huffs and storms off. The pastor who had watched all this goes down and says to me, "You handled that with a grace and dignity that I wouldn't have had in that situation," before he and the sales manager finish speaking. I turn the corner, and the temp GM and our FOM are standing directly behind the separation wall, and immediately ask if I'm okay. When I affirm that I'm okay, they compliment me. 20 minutes later, HB comes back down to the front desk. The first thing he does is throw his key sleeve at me, right as the FOM comes around to the front. The FOM immediately gets between the desk and I, blocking me from the man's view. He's like 6'3" and built. Plus he's a black guy, which I only mentioned because this old dude was wearing a Confederate flag cap. HB is pale when I peek around FOM. FOM calmly tells HB that he needs to leave, or he will call the police to escort him out. HB is sputtering how he is a carbon member, and we can't do that to him. HB asks to speak to our GM. Temp GM comes around the wall. He says, "Sir, you need to leave. You're no longer welcome to our property, now or in the future." Temp GM escorts the dude to his room, and when he is escorting him out the door, he yells at me that I'm a lying slut who won't get away with this because he will call corporate. Later I found out between the SM, the FOM, and the GM, the man has been blacklisted at all the hotels in this city. Must be really awkward for a guy like him. This is particularly inconvenient for this man, as we are a smaller city that has a major NFL team stadium a mile and a half from the hotel, and we are situated between two major cities for business in the area. Our NA told me that he got a call from an angry man cussing at him about not being able to get a room anywhere, because that slut lied about him and must be sleeping with someone to have that kind of pull. 3. Diane equals crazy lady. Rob equals maintenance. It was around 3:30 p.m., and I checked in Diane and her husband into room 102. We are a well-known chain hotel with great reviews and in a good area. She was about 70 years old and really short but quite heavy. She came back about 20 minutes after the check-in, complained about the large desk in the room, and wanted to move. It was the room type she booked. It was slow, so I made something work for her. I thought all was going to be good until she came back again 20 minutes later.
Is this channel list the only TV channels you guys have?
Yes, only the ones that are listed on there, unfortunately.
Why is Telemundo on 3 different channels, and some are blank? Do you know they're blank? They shouldn't be like that.
Well, yes, we are aware, and that is the reason it doesn't have anything on your channel list. But we actually have no control over what channels are displayed. Everything is handled by our provider. I can have our maintenance guy Rob come look at it.
Okay, fine. I need a footrest also.
I told Rob she needed a footstool, and then as soon as he gets there, I figured Diane would just ask him for help with the TV. But it's never that simple. Diane comes back about 30 minutes later. This time she is clearly more upset. She literally pulls out 7 full pages of every problem she had with the TV and room. Only about 5% was an actual issue.
Here, make copies for your manager and also maintenance so they know what is going on, and make me 3 more copies of the channel list.
I'd love to. She then proceeded to go through all the pages with me. Not going to bore you with the details of that conversation. Besides this direct quote.
I hate football with a passion, and that is all that is on basically. Why don't you have what I want? So, did you ever send the maintenance guy? He didn't show up.
Oh, he didn't grab the footrest for you?
Oh, well, how am I supposed to know he was your maintenance guy?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe because I fucking told you our maintenance guy is coming to your room? Oh, sorry. I will have him come right back.
That isn't my issue here. Your restaurant next door told me they didn't have a table available because of some memorial service for 300 people. But I saw the empty tables with nobody at them.
Yes, that is true. And those tables are being held for the reservations since the event will begin soon. But we do have our other restaurant available across the street. And if you didn't think things were bad enough already, hold on tight. Out of nowhere, she freaks out and starts to cry and yell at me about denying her dinner. I was so confused it took me a second to realize this lady was being serious.
They charge $13.50 for a burger.
Exact same price as the other restaurant.
And how do you expect us to get there? My husband can't walk that far, and I had a drink so I can't drive.
Well, they actually do deliver food here as well, so you wouldn't have to go far at all. And I have menus for other local places that will deliver here.
No. We need a sit-down dinner at a nice place. And we don't want to eat at the hotel like pigs.
I can call a taxi or even help you set up an Uber ride.
And pay $40 for a car ride somewhere? Yeah, right.
Ma'am, you can grab a snack here from the gift shop, but that would be the last option right now.
So you're telling me I can't have dinner tonight?
I gave you every option we had. If you need anything else beyond this, you can speak to my manager. I gave her a business card. She checked out in the morning, a day early, yelled at a co-worker for 30 minutes, demanded a lower rate, complained about the TV, and then decided to physically leave the building. But best part of all this, she had nothing but great things to say about me and left a good review. 4. Our resort put out a beautiful breakfast buffet every morning. Very nice, self-service. It wasn't your typical little mid-range buffet, this was high-end stuff. Saying what it was would make the location identifiable, so sorry, can't tell. The buffet has 2 hostesses that work at keeping everything stocked fresh and the coffee urns full. We had weddings here almost every weekend, so we are very used to dealing with them. One of the issues we dealt with was when wedding parties registered a few guests, and those registered guests assumed that the free buffet should accommodate the entire wedding party or others. Usually, we were able to inform them that the buffet is only for registered guests, but they could pay an additional $5 per person if others would like to join them. This was a hell of a deal for what we put out there, and most were perfectly willing to pay the additional charge. Then there was this party. First, it was an employee who booked the wedding venue, so it's already discounted for a wedding that is not hers, but a cousin's. Employee tried to book 3 rooms using employee discount on all 3, and was a bit miffed that it would only apply to 1 room. And only if she was in residence. She didn't want to be in residence. She lived in the community and was booking these accommodations for out-of-town family members. Denied using employee discount. So, said employee informs the guests that the free buffet is for everyone, not just registered guests, but everyone. First day that they are there, of a 3-day stay, in comes 30 people from the family. This group has a huge family and the wedding will be over 300 people. So, seeing the large group who are already helping themselves to the food, we locate which are the registered guests, inform them of the additional charge, and they refuse to pay. Nope, free is free. Sorry y'all, not happening. Front desk has to come in and address the free feeding frenzy, which now includes members of this party taking entire platters and walking off with them. They are taking out plastic bags, they came prepared to do this, and dumping bowls of fresh fruits and more into them and bolting. In under 10 minutes, they completely destroyed and emptied the entire buffet. They walked off with full crystal jugs of juice and milk, and even picked up the entire coffee urn, sugars and everything. The hostesses and front desk struggled to get the buffet replenished, and calls are placed to the wedding coordinator and GM. Other guests are waiting for their breakfast to be available, and are quite kind and patient. GM comes in, and is furious beyond belief when shown pics and video of what happened. He calls the employee to come in right now and address it. She does, and goes into a rant about how it should be free for all, that we wouldn't give her discounted room, etc. He tells her to bring the 6 registered guests in to talk. She refuses. So GM places a call to each guest, who all now claim to not speak English and just scream in their language. I know some people are going to be curious as to what language that might have been, but the fact is it really has no bearing on the story itself. So, let's just say Klingon, yeah? Kapla! Excellent. Surprise! GM also speaks Klingon. It's 3 hours till wedding time. GM informs the 6 registered users that they are free to stay for the day and the wedding, but they will not be extended the 2nd and 3rd night. Wow, the screaming. But they are all coming down to the front desk to complain, so we get a lobby full now of over 50, more family has arrived people, all screaming in Klingon. I think someone called me up a talk about how they are being discriminated against, mistreated, and will have everyone fired, etc. Just, wow. Unreal. Front and center are employees, soon to be an ex-employee, in about 5 minutes. So somehow this all winds down. GM is having a heart attack and a panic attack and is barely contained furious. He pulls up the rooms and attaches as many fees as he can possibly get away with, including the extra charges for the buffet, damages, etc. Wedding happens, drunk happens, and all day and evening we are subjected to verbal abuse from the wedding party and guests. Next day comes down, and now people involved are aware that they are being kicked out, no longer welcome. GM allowed them to stay for the wedding day only, no longer. Wow, again. Just imagine how that went down. Then multiply it? Bottom line, each registered guest ended up with over $1,700 in room charges. Employee fired, registered guests get on every do not rent in the country. Good luck getting family visits in the future, ex-employee. GM and front desk spent all week sharing this story with everyone as far as they could. But before the said guests departed, eventually, they left a parting gift. One last trip through the buffet. Wiped it out completely. We ended up giving gift vouchers to all guests who showed up for breakfast to other restaurants in the area. Staff was dispatched to several stores some 60 miles away to restock for the Sunday breakfast, which would have a full house, minus wedding party. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Of course, they all fought the additional charges, but the videos of the condition they left the rooms, with alcohol and oh boy, smoking and non-smoking rooms and the food smeared everywhere, really helped out. Thank God for video, which also captured the first and second attacks on the buffet. There were also the multiple people who were not registered, who apparently stayed in the rooms by what was left behind unobserved. What a mess. Rooms were out of service for 2 days. 5. I was training a new girl for the front desk, when a lady comes in with her 2 kids and said she wants to change her king bed to a room with 2 beds. The trainee does this and prints out the reg card. Yes, we use reg cards at this property. Gives her the spiel of initialing and signing the areas where we inform all our guests of the rules and the type of room they've booked. As the trainee gets to the part of the 2 beds, the trainee says, "We've changed your 1 king bed to 2 queen beds and..." The lady guest then interrupts the trainee by saying, "We want 2 king beds." My trainee apologizes and informs the guest the only type of 2 bed together we have are 2 queen beds, or the 1 king bed. These are the standard rooms. The guest doesn't want any of this and starts yelling at the trainee. When I come over and offer my assistance and inform the lady that all we have are single king beds, or double queen beds for standard rooms. The guest goes off yelling at the trainee by saying she wants a king bed so her kids can sleep in the bed without falling off the bed. Her kids, by the way, are running around the lobby screaming and using the water to make waterfalls onto the floor. I ask her to please stop her daughter from making so much water fall onto the floor, and she huffs at me and picks up her daughter. I continue to explain if she wants 2 beds, one being a king, I can upgrade her to a suite. She then pulls out her entitlement card and says because she's a single mother of 2, and trying to get a room for the night, I need to give her that room for free! And you know what? I would've. If it hadn't been for the fact that you were yelling at my coworker. I inform her it's $20 plus taxes. She then asks in her I'm from LA and entitled voice, "You've never been married or have kids, do you?" And I reply, because I'm tired of her bratty kids and her poor attitude, "No ma'am, I haven't made that mistake." She just looked at me and said, "Fine, we'll take the room." So I let the trainee finish up the reservation while I go back to my office. 10 minutes later, she's back telling me the keys don't work, and that I should comp the $20 upgrade fee. I ask her if she put the keys in with the arrow pointing down, and she screams at me that she's not an idiot. So I ask her to hand me the keys, and we go up to her room to check the problem. I have my master key just in case too. I didn't re-key her keys at all, by the way. I just came around to the front desk and asked for her keys. We get to the room, and lo and behold, there are her 2 kids with the babysitter. So the whole time she was making it seem like it was just herself when she had a babysitter there with them. Where was this babysitter when you came into the lobby? But we get to the door, I try the first key, and boom, green light, and door magically unlocks. I open the door for them, and while the door is open, I try the second key, and boom, green light. Nice try, lady, but no comp for you. The moral of the story is, you will always get more flies with honey than vinegar. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Coahw number 29. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. I'd also like to give a shout out to the author of the last story there, FLT Commander. Thank you very kindly for the use of your story. Well, I'm actually done recording quite early for a change. I have to pop round to my sister's house in a little bit, It was a vague phone call the other day. Apparently my brother-in-law needs a thing to connect a laptop to a television, and I think I know what he needs, but I better actually check before I go ahead and order it, because I've got my Amazon Prime account, so I guess it's because I can get it quicker. So I'm trying to get done kind of earlier, at least get the editing done, so I can pop round there when they call and they ask me to go around and have a look at what they need. Okay, with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.